Well, who could have seen that one coming? A shock of shocks, Pike. Flames fall 5-2 on the road in Winnipeg's second half of a back-to-back with a slightly depleted squad. But thanks for tuning in nonetheless. I'm Cami with a C. He's Pike, not commonly found in the chilly waters of Alberta lakes, but behind a computer watching some hockey. Our show tonight brought to you by Bet365, and shout out to our Super Chat charity partner, Youth Centers of Calgary. If you got stuff you want us to talk about immediately, on or off topic, just sauce it in the Super Chat for a really great cause. All the proceeds go to Youth Centers of Calgary, a place where kids are welcomed and accepted as they are, a place where they get to have a break from the wild world, the chronic stress that is the reality for many of them, and then just a chance to flourish through connection and fun. Well, a scheduled loss, maybe not an undignified one, though.
I mean, you're playing the top team in the Western Conference. You're playing your second best goalie. No offense, Dan Vladar, but that's what you are at this point.
It was backup versus backup, though.
Backup versus backup. The Flames are without Kevin Bahl, who might not be the showiest defenseman around. I think since he's been with the Flames, he's been at worst a minute muncher and at best a safety blanket to just snuggle up in and just ride out tough games. And when you don't have a Kevin Bahl, there's a lot of ice time to make up for. And as a result, I think we saw a Flames group that looked a little bit tuckered in the first period or so, found their legs a bit, and then just, made some mistakes with coverage, with handling the puck, with taking penalties against a very good. I think they entered the game as the NHL's top ranked power play, scoring it just shy of 33%. So it was, it unfolded in much the way I think a lot of folks expected to unfold. So
it took a long time for them to get going, though. Outshot 9-3 in the first period. It took them more than 10 minutes just to get that first shot on net, even though there were some opportunities, not shots, though, and only one shot on their first power play. It took them really about half the game to get going. And while Eric Comrie was good, he really didn't have to be great, save for, I'd say, two really dangerous shots that he was able to stop.
Yeah, and it was the on the broadcast they made the case Flames had a really good second period. Unfortunately, the Flames didn't turn their territorial control into enough high danger chances, into enough goals. The only goal they got was on the power play. They gave up a goal off a very odd rebound sequence to put them down 2. They gave up another goal in the last, you always hate early goals and late goals are the things that coaches hate, because it just means that you either weren't focused up to get going or were not quite focused enough to finish off the period. And as a result, the Flames had a very good 20 minutes of hockey in Winnipeg in the second period, resulting in them ending the period further behind than they began it. And that was just kind of how the game went. They did some good things, but they did enough poor things at the wrong times to end up losing this game.
Yeah, let's actually start kind of right off the hop. It looked like Winnipeg was going to be in some trouble. Rasmus Andersson took Mark Scheifele into the boards pretty hard, and it looked like Scheifele was in a bit of discomfort going to the bench. But then right after that, Kyle Connor goes backhand. It was actually a beautiful goal. Like, Dan Vladar wasn't necessarily letting in all waffles, but Connor totally dances Miramanov. It's a short breakaway, and he just goes far down on Vladar. Let's take a look at that.
Weird play. And now Connor splits the D in a low back scores.
Yeah, that's just good hockey right there. I mean, looking back at it, the defenseman that gets hung up there, that's Joel Hanley. Clark Bishop, recognizing his defenseman's hung up, keeps engaging with the puck carrier, tries to get the puck off, can't. And Connor makes a hell of a play, just sort of, weaving in between the guy behind him and the defender in front of him. Heck of a play, goes, top shelf. It's, that's a tough one for Vladar. He was busy early. He was pretty good early. this easily could have gotten out of hand early with how one-sided the game was early on. But
even though it did end up being 2-0 at one point, I wouldn't say that one was the backbreaker. On the second one, Mason Appleton scored, but it came after 2 straight Flames giveaways in their own end. And then the Jets are just able to bear down. And it's actually Michael Backlund who kind of sets it up for them. He tries to clear it, but just sweeps it to Appleton. He's got a yawning cage for that one. Not going to fault Dan Vladar for that one. The third goal, even though the Flames are on the board by that point, that felt like a backbreaker. And Vladar ends up with the .815 save percentage, 22 saves on 27 shots. It's kind of been the story of his season. He has taken the second half of all back-to-backs. He's now 1-5-0 in those back-to-backs, the one win coming in that win streak at the start of the season against the Oilers in Edmonton, but Edmonton was also playing the second half of a back-to-back. Then what's interesting to me when you look at the numbers, you would think when you see that, it's like, okay, Wolf is being shielded a little bit here. Maybe he's not facing as many shots. Wolf is actually facing more shots throughout these. I forced myself to do math this afternoon. So Dustin Wolf is averaging 30.5 shots a game, 27.8 saves per game. Vladar is just slightly less there. He's averaging just over 27 shots against a game. And again, the save slightly lower at 24.3. But you and I were talking about it, and you don't think this necessarily has to do with the number, and maybe the Flames are more comfortable having Dustin Wolf take some more shots.
We saw this a bit when Mika Kiprasov is in goal, because the thought process is always, man, the Flames, they just can't get I'll pick on poor Curtis McElhinney, the legend known as Mick Backup. Curtis McElhinney in his rookie year did not get his first NHL win until game 82, and it wasn't for lack of trying. He was pretty good, but it was just the team playing in front of him probably went, maybe not even intentionally, went, okay, we're playing behind a rookie. We got to make sure we help him out. So they didn't take any chances with the puck. They sort of went into a bit more of a shell. So you saw lower event games and games that were basically decided by mistakes. And the problem is, if you're playing too cautious, you're playing like you don't want to hang your backup out to dry, you make mistakes because you're trying not to make mistakes. You're thinking too much. And as a result, Curtis McElhinney had so many 1-goal losses that he didn't finally get his win until late. And then eventually became a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, because that's how hockey works. But when the Flames played behind, in front of Mika Kiprasov, you weren't really worried, because you're like, you know what, this guy's got a friggin' Vezina, don't got to worry about it. So you can take chances because you have some confidence that your goalie will be able to bail you out. And as a result, the shots for and against are a little bit higher. The scoring chances for and against are a little bit higher, but you tend to win a bit more because you're not afraid to bear down, because if you happen to screw up and give up an odd man rush, he'll be up for it. I think we're seeing that kind of phenomenon with Dustin Wolf this year, where the Flames players have seen enough games where Dustin Wolf is an absolute maniac behind them that they have some confidence in him. They have the confidence that if I completely screw up my coverage, he's going to bail me out. I'm going to buy him dinner afterwards, but he's going to be able to help the team win. And as a result, as you mentioned, I think overall Wolf faces more shots, but I think the Flames also get more shots when he's on the ice. And as a result, I think the Wolf save percentage, I think, is in all situations, like 20 points higher than Vladar's, but they also, I think, score 1.5 or almost 2% more of their shots than they do with Vladar. So it's weird. The numbers sort of suggest that there is a bit of a difference between the Flames with Vladar and the Flames with Wolf. And, case in point, we just saw 2 games against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg over an 8-day period where I think the Flames looked, situations weren't exactly the same, one being a back-to-back and one not being, but I think we saw a Flames team that was a little bit sharper.
I think you saw a game where a goalie stole a game and a game where a goalie didn't steal a game.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even say he gave away the game. There's an absence of stealing.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it too, the Flames have in those second half of the back-to-back losses, 5 of them now, they have 6 goals. So there's also not a lot of run support for Dan Vladar there. Yeah, I mean, 2 of them come from Gabe Vilardi tonight. One just an absolute rip from the dot. That one was great. And then he has a power play goal off the iron and in. And then you just saw maybe he should have had the Scheifele one late, but that was the one where like Vladar's body language kind of broke my heart a bit for him. And you could tell like he wanted that one. He's disappointed in himself, but he's also not been in a comfy situation that's been conducive to building confidence throughout this season.
Yeah, I'm doing math on the fly here. So courtesy our dear friends at NHL.com, and this does not include tonight. Actually, I'll add tonight's game on. So since December 1st, Vladar has won twice. He has started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. He's played 9 games in the better part of 2 months, and he's won twice. And I would even say like he was kind of hung out to dry. Like I was at that Tampa Bay game where once the Flames went down a few goals, you could sort of see the entire team go, okay, this ain't happening, guys. And then it's kind of snowballed on him. But if you look at the rest of his games, like, okay, his wins were, he had a shutout win at home against Columbus, and then gave up 4. Flames don't have enough offense to get out of that. Gave up 3, gave up 2, gave up 4, gave up 2. Tonight was 5, but a bunch of them were on power plays that, it seemed like especially once they got down to the third period, their discipline kind of went for a hiatus there too. So this is my way of saying, Dustin or Dan Vladar not having a great season. I don't even think it's his fault. It's just he's been asked to do a lot of challenging things for a goalie. We're all creatures of the habit. Every goalie I know has a routine, loves to play regularly, loves to get game reps as often as they can. We'll talk about it later, but the Flames have a heck of a goalie in the American League who played for the first time in a while, and he wasn't spectacular because he hasn't played in a little while. He's probably off of his rhythm. And so Dustin Wolf is probably the only goalie the Flames have right now who feels like he's in a rhythm, and he really well, and he deserving of the chances he's getting. And probably my guess is at the end of the year we'll be talking about all rookie teams and hardware for a young netminder who definitely deserves the accolades. But I also think we should be talking more about a goaltender who's sort of jumped on the proverbial grenade so that Wolf has the opportunities he's been given this year.
I mean, if Wolf ends up putting together a long, stellar NHL career, I wonder if we look back at Dan Vladar as like Drew Bledsoe to Tom Brady, sans injury, but it's like, man, that guy had to eat some shit for you to be a great.
On the other program, we regularly hear from a beloved backup netminder in Jamie McLennan. And I think Noodles would say, it's a tough gig being the backup goalie. Like you don't play very often. And when you do, it's like, it's the third game in 3 nights with travel where it's like everybody's bagged, everybody's mentally exhausted. Everyone's thinking, okay, we just got to get through these 3 periods. Then we're on the plane, then we're at home, then I'm in my bed. I don't need to think about being away from my family or away from my plants, pets, whatever. Players are human, and tired players are tired humans who make mistakes. And I think tonight we saw another example of Dan Vladar playing in front of a lot of guys who made some mistakes at the wrong times. And as a result, we're talking about yet another Dan Vladar loss, unfortunately.
Actually, maybe Showgirls is a better analogy than Drew Bledsoe, throwing some pearls on the staircase to get past him and walk over him. But we're going to switch to a more positive topic, at least for tonight, potentially going forward. Mackenzie Weegar with his 6th of the year. Just a blast on the power play, but a bigger story here outside of this game. Pretty much right before they hit the ice, Stanley Cup champion Alex Pietrangelo announced he's withdrawing from the Four Nations Faceoff. So the Golden Knights statement says that he needs time to, quote, tend to an ailment and prepare for the remainder of the regular season. And according to our friend of the show, Frank Seravalli, Mackenzie Weegar was among the final cuts when Canada's roster was announced back in December. So Weegar had said to Postmedia's Wes Gilbertson at the time, like he'd be staring at his phone waiting to see if a call comes, if there was an injury or something like that. So what do you think of where Weegar stands now? He has 3 goals and 8 assists in the 22 games since December 4th. And I know we poo-poo plus minus sometimes, but among the best among defensemen
you
at plus 11.
Plus minus when you have a bad plus minus. Plus minus is a bad stat unless you have a good plus minus. And that's
anything
a great
but
stat.
dash. Anything but dash. But he is plus 11 over that stretch. I guess he'd be plus 12 now.
I mean, I think we're very biased in this market because we deal with Mackenzie Weegar regularly. I'm a big Mackenzie Weegar guy. He's been very good for the Flames. He's very versatile. How many guys can play at his level on either side and give you really quality minutes. And I think the big challenge is if you're the Flames, would you be nervous? Like the Flames have 2 guys on their blue line that you can basically throw out for 25 to 30 minutes a night against good teams and not worry about the quality of their play. Do you want to be, especially if you're thinking that you might be playing past April 17th, do you want to get more mileage on Anderson and Weegar before the postseason potentially, or would you rather them spend that time in a pool or on a beach or covered in bubble wrap to prevent any kind of malady from befalling them? Because Weegar's an important player for the Flames. We're going to see guys continue to sort of get bumps and bruises along the way, and hopefully Kevin Bahl isn't out for too long. He was not in the lineup this evening, and his lack of presence was definitely felt. But
and that sounds like a management perspective right there. But I think players do still also love to represent their country. So I also feel like if that phone call comes,
if the phone call comes, you're not telling them to say no.
Yeah, because like even I know it's like the start of the 4 Nations, and some people aren't quite sure how they feel about it yet. When you look back at World Juniors, that used to not be a big deal. Like when Rhett played World Juniors, it was not a big deal. Yeah. And now it's huge for a lot of people. And for some guys, I know Weegar has represented Canada before, but you only get so many opportunities to do that.
Yeah. And, for a lot of guys, like Ken and I talked about this on Saturday's Afterburner. If you're a high end player, you saying, no, thanks, I'm going to go to Mexico to Hockey Canada, probably doesn't hurt your chances of making the Olympic team. If you're an essential player, like I don't think they're going to be mad at Sidney Crosby if he wants to take a week off or he's banged up or whatever. But
no, we saw, especially the Blackhawks had some really strong teams when the 2016 World Cup of Hockey came around, and they opted to not go.
Yeah, but if you're on the bubble or you're thinking you haven't really established your credentials with Hockey Canada yet, you might as well go to the NHL's fake Olympics and make a case for yourself, because a good performance at the fake Olympics, 4 Nations Cup, whatever we're calling it, could get you a ticket to Italy. It could be the difference between you make it and you not making it. So,
especially for players like Weegar, who for some reason are maybe overlooked in the grand conversation around NHL defensemen. And you look at the current defenders on the roster, you have Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, who we saw tonight, Colton Parayko, Travis Sanheim, Shea Theodore, Devon Taves. Like those are some pretty great names there, and it'd be a huge honor to be considered among them. Yeah. I know some people would have taken Weegar over Sanheim originally, but it's also some added juice for Flames fans, because who is the other big name that people talk about immediately? Evan Bouchard, right up the highway.
Yeah. I mean, Evan Bouchard's a good hockey player. He's not great at everything.
He's got 19 assists since they announced the roster. Or pardon me, did I say 19 assists? 19 points, 2 goals, 17 assists.
As much as I'm sure our dear friends in the chat are going to be excited to hear this, Evan Bouchard was on my Norris ballot last year. He was really, really good. He might be one-dimensional, and I don't think it's unfair to say that, but he's so good at that one dimension that if you have guys that can do the rest, I think it helps. I think the thing that helps Weegar's candidacy is that he's good at everything. I don't think Weegar's elite at anything, but he's good at every part of if you need someone to kill penalties, throw Weegar out there. You need someone to play hard 5-on-5 minutes, throw Weegar out there.
On either side.
Power play, maybe you have a tough D-zone face-off, throw Weegar out there. So I think his versatility really helps him. I think the challenge for him is, he hasn't gotten Norris votes. He hasn't really been in the all-star mix. So he's not really a name, so to speak, the way a lot of other guys are. And maybe it hurts him a little bit that he plays in the far-flung reaches of Calgary where, because of the mountain time zone, all these things, who knows if anyone ever sees games that Mackenzie Weegar plays.
It is the best time zone for sports. I was miserable trying to watch West Coast hockey and all of that stuff when I lived out east. I'm like, this is why everyone is a fan of Original Six teams in New Brunswick. It's because it's the only time zone that you can watch.
Also,
but I'm going to throw another one out there for you.
Okay.
Go ahead first.
Another player who might be in the conversation for 4 Nations, because another Vegas Golden Knights player, William Karlsson, he has not officially withdrawn from the 4 Nations face-off yet. He was named to Team Sweden. He is week to week with an injury. We don't know what week to week means. Week to week is basically a way of saying we're not sure how long he'll be out, but we'll see how he feels. But if William Karlsson doesn't go, perhaps Michael Backlund's top of the list as
Woohoo.
someone who's, he has almost the opposite of Weegar, where Weegar is sort of trying to establish his credentials internationally. Backlund's been there, done that. He won a world championship a few years ago. The royal family got to meet him. It was a big honor for them. Big honor for Backlund too, but I think they're all
The royal family got to meet him.
they're all equally excited to meet each other because Backlund's been a big part of Swedish international hockey, and he's played in every big tournament. Never played in the Olympics. I don't know. I mean, he's 35 now. He'll be 36. I think the Olympics are a month before he turns 37. He's an 89 birthday, so he'd be almost 39 or almost 37 when the next Olympics are. So maybe he's on the cusp of making it. Maybe he's not. But if you're Backlund, maybe this kind of event's a nice chance to put a bow on your international career. Maybe it's a chance to make a case for yourself as a veteran player who can play any situation for the Olympic team. Who knows? But we'll see what happens with Karlsson. He still has not officially withdrawn, but I don't think it's I don't think it's a secret to say that people in this city are big fans of Michael Backlund and everything he does on and off the ice. And if he has an opportunity to go to a big event, how many chances he's gonna have left, right?
Before we dive back into Flames Jets, can I say one more nonsense thing at you?
Always.
All right. Defenseman. If you really want a right shot defenseman and you really want that championship caliber, Drew Doughty is full contact in practice now and appears to be close to making his season debut. If it wasn't for that injury, I feel like he'd be in no question.
A Hockey Canada fixture. He's been in tons of these kind of events. They know him really well. But he's also, is he going to be 100%? How the mileage going to be on him? But yeah, I mean, it's an international event coming up, and do we want to see Doughty versus Tkachuk wearing the maple leaf and the stars and stripes? That could be kind of fun. Could it make it kind of a circus? Yeah, but who doesn't love the circus outside of everything bad about the circus? We'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. And actually a really funny thing, kind of at the height of the Tkachuk Doughty feud, I guess, for a time when you went to Winsport and the Flames had to practice at Winsport, there was a giant Drew Doughty banner at the player entrance. And I just like to think about him walking past that sometimes. I see some Dougie Hamilton chatter in the live chat right now too. That was also kind of on my list of people to talk about. If you're going to talk about Evan Bouchard being great in one category, maybe not so great in another, Dougie Hamilton probably falls into that category. But it's time for us to talk about different defensemen. A lack of balls in this game, some might say, Ryan. No Kevin Bahl out. We don't know for how long after that tough hit that he took in Minnesota last night. I actually heard an interview where Rasmus Anderson told Derek Wills that he's like, Pospisil got suspended for something similar. Why was this one a minor? But that is for people paid more than us to handle. So we saw Jake Bean drawing in and Anderson playing with Hanley. I actually thought Hanley, there were some warts to his game tonight, but I actually thought he was a big part of one of Calgary's best opportunities when they were kind of getting going at the start of the second period. He had a great poke to kind of turn things around as the Jets were breaking out, and that set up Backlund and Coleman, and it actually led to some pretty extended ozone time.
That one really good Coleman chance that they got.
And
then they just couldn't follow up on it
Backlund
quite
just
as well.
found him right up close there, but I think it got just, Comrie had that one, deflected it high, but it started with that really heads up play for Hanley. Those are some tough shoes for him to fill. Kevin Bahl has gone above and beyond in his first season for the Flames, I think. And Hanley, he ends up when he's playing just under 20 minutes, has a block and a hit, but it was tough shoes to fill, especially on the back-to-back. And Jake Bean was serviceable, got the assist too tonight. We're going to talk about that in a bit later because there's a name missing from that goal. But what did you think of Hanley as he drew up and Bean as he came in?
I think there was some miscommunications at times between Hanley and Anderson. I mean, Anderson's he's basically been, a conjoined twin to Kevin Bahl all season. They know each other's tendencies so well. And so when you have someone else in there who's a much different player than Kevin Bahl is. You got some quirks to your game. Anderson was -1, Handling was -1, Weegar and Miramanov were kept together. They were both -2. The defensive pair that wasn't minus was Jake Bean and Braden Pahal, who, I mean, I think they both played about 15, 60 minutes. They were plus, but they were also, sheltered. If you had a tough situation, you were leaning on the other two pairings. And so, Bean and Pahal were up to the assignment, but the assignment was decidedly different than the assignment the other four guys were given. So, we'll see what happens. I'm hopefully Kevin Bahl is available sooner rather than later, because, the Flames blue line group gets a lot worse without him than, when they have him in there. And considering that he was kind of a question mark to a lot of Flames fans when the Flames acquired him, I think it's kind of impressive how well he's established himself.
It just really fits with kind of like that identity that it feels like the Flames are trying to build. But you mentioned Bean. Let's take a look at the goal he got an assist on, a late one from Nazem Kadri.
He wins it back. Handling in front, scores! Kadri gets one back for the Flames.
Look who's right there, the Energizer Bunny.
And the four Flames fans in whatever they're calling Winnipeg's arena now. Canada Life Place, Canada Life Center.
Yep, some good stuff there. Bean just goes low and eases it up to Kadri. It was tight. Didn't have a lot of space between them, but all of a sudden Kadri's got 5 points in his last 3 games as well.
Now, the thing that I brought up, and you agreed with me, where's the assist for Jacob Pelche?
Yeah.
I was looking at the stat. We were looking at the stats as we were wont to do. And Jacob Pelche. It all
starts with the face-off.
Jacob Pelche is not credited that face-off win, despite the fact that he clearly won the face-off, and is not credited with an assist, despite the fact that he obviously won the face-off and put the puck back to Jake Bean, who is pinching. So an injustice was done towards Jacob Pelche, a nice young man who has never done anything wrong in his life. He doesn't get a face-off win, so he's 0 for 3, and he got 0 points in the game where he's +1 and played quite well. So all I'm saying is, NHL, you got to make this right. Jacob Pelche, there's been an injustice done against him, and you need to fix this.
So he may not get the assist, but what we will do is toast him with a lovely Afterburner Pale Ale from Origin Brewing. 5 generations of farming. That's actually pretty rare nowadays. Like, Canada used to be all about those kind of generational farms. It's all corporate farms now, but 5 generations of family farming means that you're not only getting intentionally chosen ingredients, but the roots that run deep in the community. They believe it's all about blending tradition and innovation for a truly unique experience that proudly celebrates Alberta farms. They grow beer. Afterburner Pale Ale. And listeners, you can ask for Origin Malt and Brewing products at your local liquor stores, your favorite pubs, restaurants. If you ask them enough, they're just going to have to bring it in, right?
If enough of you ask, and enough of you ask politely, they'll do what they need to do to keep you happy.
Anything else you really liked about the Flames game today? Or is this like one that you just kind of like shake off and move on, knowing that you're still hanging on to a playoff position. You're still 3 points up on Vancouver. You still got a game in hand, and 5 back of the Avalanche isn't that bad, especially considering that you're going to see them in the coming week.
I think this is, it's the kind of game where, I mean, let's call a spade here. The Jets are really freaking good. And, as much as we all like, the Jets aren't an exciting team because they've been so good for so long, and it's the same bunch of guys playing good hockey over and over again. I think we sort of sleep on them. They're good. They're just not as exciting as some of the other good teams in the West. But, you're going into a tough building to win in against a team that has a tough style of play.
LA boringed their way to a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Winnipeg could easily do that. But I mean, you're even with facing Winnipeg's backup, Comrie is a pretty good goalie, and you just made too many mistakes. And I think it's the kind of game I have not seen Ryan Huska's post-game media availability yet. I imagine this is the kind of game where Huska will say something along the lines of, thought they played pretty well, liked a lot of stuff they did, made too many mistakes. Goalie deserves better. Oh, well, we'll try to do better on Tuesday against Washington. And you know what? They'll try to do better on Tuesday against Washington. They'll go home. They'll all say hello to their pets, spouses, and children. Don't know what order, but that's up to them.
Yeah, that was a choice.
But they'll have an off day on Monday, and then Tuesday they'll face another very good team, but they'll face them in the Saddledome where they're comfortable, and probably with a different goalie in net. So, it's one of those ones where it's hard to really get too upset about the loss because of the situation and the opponent.
A good as time as any to look at the road ahead, brought to you by Platinum Mitsubishi, as you mentioned, back at the Dome on Tuesday, the league leading Washington Capitals. Who expected that? And Alex Ovechkin. So Washington did see they were on a 6-game win streak that got snapped against the Canucks on Saturday night. They've got a 2-game break or 2-day break heading into this one. This is going to be a tough test. That's the second highest scoring team in the league, the second stingiest team in the league, and Ovechkin is 20 goals away from Gretzky's record. The Canucks didn't let him get any closer, so we might be pretty hungry to add to that total here.
And you got to admit, though, Alex Ovechkin chasing the seemingly uncatchable record will be kind of fun, as will what I anticipate to be Dustin Wolf playing a game against Alex Ovechkin. That sounds pretty fun. I think that'll be hopefully the Saddledome's nice and loud for that one, because we're running out of chances to see Alex Ovechkin live. Unfortunately, I mean, he's time does not wait for any of us. But the fact is, this could be an evening that either gives him a bit of momentum on his way to catch that record, or if you're Dustin Wolf, you're probably hoping to throw a few pebbles in his path along the way. So it could be a fun game.
After that, Thursday night against the Ducks. Ducks coming off some pretty convincing wins against noted powerhouses Pittsburgh and Nashville. They still have Seattle on deck before they come to town. Anaheim did something fun the other night. During the day, I guess. They went out to Disney for Ducks Day, and they were part of the Mighty Duck celebrations, and fans just got to go out and meet them. And you had a very sad suggestion for what the Flames could do.
I was
not sad, small scale.
I think the Flames, we see the Flames players and the Roughnecks and the Wranglers and the Hitmen in the Stampede Parade, but I think we need to get more content with them riding the rides. I want to see Jacob Pelche on a carousel or a Ferris wheel or something. I think they could have a lot of fun with those that kind of stuff. So our dear friends of the Flames, their content team does a lot of fun work. We've been seeing The Chase, their behind the scenes docu-series throughout the year, which has been very fun. You need to do more behind the scenes stuff with them out and about, especially at carnivals or the Stampede, because I think that could be a lot of fun.
Maybe the scariest carnival that used to come through my hometown. That was good. Though that place those rides always broke at least once. The one ride where you it's a circle and you go up and you go back and it builds momentum
the ship
until
thing,
you
right?
go all the way around. That came to Creston one year. I forget what it was called. Changed names a bunch of times, I'm sure, for very
it's like the weird
very good
it's the mechanical
reason.
arm thing that sort of goes back and forth like that.
Yeah, but my friend, everything was always busting. It was a really crappy carnival, and my buddy's seatbelt broke as we were going all the way around, and we were oh, physics take the wheel, baby. But anyway, the Flames could do something like that sometime.
Yeah,
that might up their insurance. But anyway, Doug's coming to town on Thursday. Mason McTavish ripping it up. He's got 2 goals in both of his last couple games, but John Gibson left their game last night. Star goalie could be out of the mix. And it's Gould and I on the post-game show that night. He did switch off a shift this weekend. I think it's because of this, but the offer still stands. If we get $50 in the super chat, we'll flip these cameras around and I'll judo flip them on camera. That's how we're raising money for YCC this year. But wrap up the homestand on Saturday against the Red Wings. Detroit has points.
You take cash?
Sure.
We'll talk later.
Sure. I'll make sure I don't do arm day before, so I'm nice and limber.
It's for a good cause, everybody.
A great cause. Maybe the more money we make, the more throws whoop in there. We're gonna see some Soto Gari action.
See, talk to Rat before the show. He might chip in,
especially if he's had a couple. We did have to restock that fridge before the show. But anyway, Flames wrap up that homestand on Saturday against the Red Wings. Detroit has points in 3 straight. They just beat the Habs, the Lightning. That's a team fighting hard for the playoffs. They're 4 points back of Tampa Bay for the second wild card spot right now. And then it's the last week before Four Nations. 4 games bookended by the Kraken, Toronto on Tuesday, and the new look Avalanche on Thursday. I'm actually really excited for that one.
Ooh, and yeah, it's a very weird back-to-back to kick off February. The home and then jump on a plane and play in Seattle the next day. That's an interesting one. Don't see that a lot. Usually it's a Calgary, Vancouver, or a Calgary, Edmonton. But yeah, it should be a fun week, especially, I wonder if Brad's on the trip, but the Leafs are always fun. The Saddleham's always full of a lot of blue that evening. Everyone either uses their tickets or sells their tickets to their Leafs fan friends, and fun atmosphere. So it should be a fun week. I think we have a lot of entertaining games with potential to be entertaining between now and the break, and then we'll take stock of where the hell these guys are, because I don't think a lot of people expected to be looking at their, the week of April 18th and go, wonder what I'm doing that week, because I might be watching hockey and that I didn't expect to be watching.
Hey, 3 points back of the LA Kings in that race for the third spot in the Pacific right now. Definitely not out of the realm of possibility, and some winnable games coming up here for sure. And that's the road ahead, brought to you by Platinum Mitsubishi, family owned and operated by lifelong Calgarians. Pretty rare in the biz today. They've got the best warranty in the business with 10 years, great lease and finance rates. You can check out the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, Canada's best-selling plug-in hybrid SUV, and they are at 2720 Barlow Trail Northeast. Saddleham's busy today. They had the old doubleheader today where they have the Wranglers come in for the matinee, and the Hitmen have the rare Sunday night game. They're on the ice right now, but for the boys down in the A, it was a 5-4 OT loss to the San Diego Gulls. Ty Berry down there on the conditioning stint. I know you liked his goal last night. He had 2 assists today. Jeremy Poirier also assisted Lucas Siona's late game-tying goal to get a point, and 27 saves for old Devin Cooley. And
what I affectionately call the Swedish hat trick, 3 assists for William Stromgren. Because sharing is caring. That's what I'm
nice guys like that.
Yeah, he's sharing the puck. Mm-hmm. And he shared the puck with 3 guys that scored after he shared with them. So, I mean, that means you should keep sharing. I think he's up to 37 points in 42 games this year. I believe, I don't have the stats in front of me. I believe he's creeping just into the top 10. He's 10th. He's 10th in the AHL in scoring. It's his second year. He's 21. The only Wrangler with more points this year is Dryden Hunt, who was out this weekend with a minor injury. So, it's Flames keep bringing up players, and they keep having a minor league team that does well with the players that are left. So, I mean, Sam Morton had a good weekend. Poirier seems to be getting a swagger back. And they got their goalie back after he was out for a little while. I think he got injured making a wild diving save. And guys, please don't make your goalie have to do that. He's very good, but I think if
also
this,
because I hate hearing the announcers have to say what athleticism is like. He is an athlete.
if this podcast has an official stance, we're pro goalie. So be nice to your goalies, because if they're having to do dumb stuff because of weird turnovers or bounces off the stanchion or whatever, you're not going to have a goalie very longer, because they'll be hurt in dumb ways. If your goalies can get hurt, you want it to be because they're lifting a trophy that they won too uproariously and they blow out their shoulder or tweak their knee or something. You want it to be hilarious and after a win, rather than, oh God, we almost lost, but thank God he made a weird diving stop. But good. I'm a Devin Cooley guy. He's a great interview, and his goaltending numbers this year are as good as his quotes, and that's saying a lot, because he's been very good this year in both runs.
That's big. And Brady Galili, I am so glad you asked about the Hitmen. They're actually up 4-1 right now over the Red Deer Rebels. Carter Yakimchuk, the Sens prospect, is back in this weekend. He missed a while there with an injury, but scored his 15th of the season. Canucks prospect Sawyer Minio is up to a goal and an assist in this game already. Tanner Howe, Penn's pick. He's got the game winner right now. They've been ripping it up. They'll be one of the teams to watch down the stretch here. It's kind of fun for Alberta because you look at the Central Division, which is a lot of teams loading up, but like Calgary looks like they're ready to do some damage. Medicine Hat looking to do some damage. Hopefully get Andrew Basha back soon from his injury. Gavin McKenna is going off again. Lethbridge is looking really good. They've got Braden Yeager, the Jets pick, and he's a handful of points away from 300 in his career. And Edmonton's not going away either. So there's fun games to watch for sure.
I'll say this, there's a fairly significant chance that all three teams that call the Scotiabank Saddledome home will be playing postseason hockey, which is kind of fun and is something we should all be excited for. Oh yeah. It's going to be weird. It's going to be just brutal scheduling for everybody involved. So if you see someone who works the Saddledome, be nice to them because their schedule is going to be just bonkers between now and May. But also just the idea that there's a lot of entertaining products there. Folks, if you get a chance to go to see the Hitmen, Ben Kindle is a hell of a hockey player. And he's, depending on who you look at, I believe Stephen Ellis from Daily Faceoff has him in the first round mix. Most reputable draft people have him entered around the first round mix. He's not a slam dunk first rounder because he's a little small. Like he's like hockey player small, not like regular human being small. He's small the way that Dustin Wolf is small for a goalie, where you're like, yeah, but his numbers are really good. That's Ben Kindle. He's small, but his numbers are really good. So maybe you should go to a Hitman game and check him out. He
had the longest point streak in the league. He was ripping along at 23 games for a while there. Bob McKenzie with TSN had him at 25th in his latest list.
He missed one game. Damn it. He's
I know. Against the Tigers. Hitman games have been barn burners this year.
Those
teams also do not like each other.
Since the beginning of November, Ben Kindle has 3 games where he hasn't registered a point. He's very good. And he's young. It's not like you're seeing a 20-year-old destroy the league. He's not huge and he's young. And so him putting up bonkers numbers is noteworthy.
I think I mentioned this last time we talked about him, but both of his parents played soccer for Team Canada, and his sister made her Team Canada debut over the summer, actually the same day that he made his Team Canada debut at Hlinka Gretzky. But he was in Edmonton and she got to be in Costa Rica.
So how did the parents split that up? Did one go to Costa Rica and one go to Edmonton, or how did they do that?
Mom went to Costa Rica, dad went to Edmonton.
Yeah, that's dad pulled the short straw, didn't
he? I'm actually hoping to interview them pretty soon, so I'll report back on that one.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Axel Hertig is among the Western Hockey League's leaders in plus minus. Because his plus minus is good, it's a relevant stat.
Exactly. He was 3rd star last night when they beat Lethbridge. That was a big one for them, and he was riling up the crowd a little bit afterwards. Shout out to, the guys are all back from Jasper now. As I rolled in to watch the game today, Pinder was kind of very slowly going up and down the stairs, bringing some equipment back in there, along with like the nicest cooler I've ever seen. Some of the Yeti gear, they were huge and helping to put that on. So thanks, Yeti. You can crave the cold and extend your ice time with the hard-hitting gear built to honor the toughest sport on earth, played by the okayest hockey players in the podcasting game.
Yeah, we neither Cami and I made the cut for the team this year, but such luminaries as Johnny Lazarus and Jeff Merrick took our places. So I hope they had fun. It looks like they had fun. It was good to hear that they did us proud. They lost in the A final, and as we mentioned on Saturday's show, those goons from Oilers Nation lost to Flames Nation and then lost in the B final, which we call the relegation final, or if you're being mean, the loser bracket final. So they are, they didn't do too well. Flames Nation finished second in the good side. So, we'll have to take it back to the drawing board, and Pinder will have to try to put together a slightly better roster for next year. And we'll have to work hard in the off season and see if we make the cut next year.
I have a game on Tuesday. I'm going to approach it with the appropriate amount of fire. I've recently learned how to elevate my shot. Once I learn how to do crossovers, it's over for all of you. I really thought the Bills were going to do it.
Is it yet another Chiefs Super Bowl?
Yeah. 32-29. I really wanted Commanders Bills.
Man, you had a bad day today.
Yeah, it's not it. It's not it, man.
Oh well. It's always next year.
Isn't that the no. I don't know, the quote, tagline, catchphrase of every sports fan?
No, the catchphrase is when the results don't go your way, you say the refs were bad or the game was rigged.
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
It was you know who really wanted the Chiefs to play in the Super Bowl this year? The players on the
The
Chiefs.
NFL?
The players on the Chiefs mostly.
The NFL.
Yeah, so they can cut away the crowd, be like, "Look who's here!" It's like we know,
Yeah,
you
we
don't
heard.
need to. But you know,
Yeah.
it happens.
Not my thing. Also, number 14 Magic in the chat. I have asked Danielle Fujita for some pointers. I love Danielle. She is unbelievable and she does awesome work with so many players. And she's on the road a lot, helping people work on their skating.
Yeah, she's in high demand. I'm a good skater. I just have absolutely no hands whatsoever. So if you need someone to whiff on a shot or make a really boneheaded pass, but do it while skating in the right direction, I'm your guy.
Yeah, actually, ahead of the Heritage Classic in Edmonton, there was a really cool afternoon where media members were allowed to go out and skate on the ice.
We were the only Calgary people.
We were the
there.
only Calgary people who went. I can't believe that. It was so cool out there. And I'm like Edmonton, Pike.
Yeah, there's a lot of strangers, and we're like, someone I know. Good. We don't have to interact with the Edmonton people.
I know, but we also weren't allowed to have sticks or pucks, so I can't confirm or deny your skills there.
Yeah,
so we got to just do some nice, polite laps together.
Yeah, and neither of us fell down or injured ourselves skating in circles without hockey equipment on, so we did okay.
That would have been a tough way to go.
Yeah, just show up to the game in like a sling. It's like, what happened? I fell down in media skate, and that's why we never have media skate again. And also, the NHL would not have been held liable because we had to sign a waiver.
We did.
So it's a good waiver. I was pretty happy with it.
It was very important. Actually, also the lovely guys on the Flame staff, they didn't think I had appropriate mittens, so they brought me better mittens because it was really cold. They're the best. I love them. One more shout out to helping make the Jasper Pond Hockey Tournament a reality. That's Booster Juice. You can visit a location today to refuel, refresh, re-energize, and download their new Booster Rewards app to earn, order, and enjoy. And you can bet the boys were enjoying that on the way back because I bet their livers are hurting and fruit is good for you.
Yeah, they need to refuel after that kind of exertion.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we are just about wrapped up here. Pike, what did you see on Bet365 today?
I'm really curious how things look tomorrow, because it's going to be a situation where, LA Detroit is interesting to me. It sounds like Drew Doughty is almost back. I don't know if he's back yet, but that'll be interesting.
He's skating in a full contact jersey and doing interviews.
Ooh. For Flames fans, if you want to boo both teams, Vancouver St. Louis is quite an interesting game. Because the Canucks, the Canucks are 3 back of the Flames. The Blues are also 3 back of the Flames, but the Flames have 3 games in hand on them. So if you're the Flames, maybe you're hoping that St. Louis wins because they're far enough. This is, I think, game 51 for them or something ridiculous like that. So I don't know. There's a lot of those kind of games where, it's a disparity between the opponents. Van St. Louis might be the most even one out there.
I'm actually looking at the LA Detroit game. That one could be interesting for Calgary just because, Detroit's super hungry to get closer to a playoff spot, but Calgary, only 3 points back of LA to maybe get out of the wild card and into the top of the Pacific. Might be nice to see that team stumble a little bit ahead of having Detroit on the radar.
Yeah, it's we'll see what they do, but yeah, it's should be an interesting evening.
Yep, that'll be a good one. Of course, that's brought to you by Bet365, world's largest sports betting platform. You can open an account today and bet on a huge range of markets. There's a pretty big game in the NFL coming up now. Apparently, you know the code. It's Nation when you sign up, and whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Let's see if we have any last questions and comments before we wrap it up this Sunday night. Go Parade, go. Best D from that draft. Some pretty good D from that draft.
He's about 15 points the last 3 games, something ridiculous like that. He's been doing really well lately.
Yeah, he's been eating it up. Let's take a look at Yakimchuk's right up there too. He's been having a really big season. Some of the top guys too from that one.
I watched an Ontario League game the other night, I think Friday night. I'm sorry. I've been watching other leagues. I've been watching other leagues.
Did you see the goalie goal?
No, but I did see.
The OHL had a goalie goal.
It was pretty sweet. Yeah. But yeah, the game between Kingston and Saginaw went to overtime because Jacob Battaglia, Flames 3rd round pick and overall very good player, threw the puck on net like you're supposed to. If you don't have a play, throw it on net. Good stuff will happen. And it went off the goalie, off Parek and in. And then Battaglia scored in the shootout to help his team win. So it was a tough day at the office for Parek, but he played really well. So if you get a chance to watch any major junior hockey, there's I believe the Western League does a free Wednesday night stream. The OHL has free streams available. Various networks, I believe TSN this weekend had a Moncton game on their streaming service. There's a lot of good hockey going on, and you get a chance to see some of these Flames players play in their home environments before they get a chance to move up. And potentially we could see some of them move up as early as the spring when their club teams finish up and they potentially get dragged over to the Wranglers for postseason hockey there. So
I mean, I'm always going to pump the tires of the Wednesday night and the Dub free view game, but it's a banger this week. So again, free on YouTube. It's the league leading Everett Silvertips, led by exceptional status defenseman Landon DuPont, versus Medicine Hat and Gavin McKenna. So 2 incredible players facing each other for the first time. McKenna has a chance to take back the league points lead, and DuPont is on pace to become the first player 16 or younger defenseman to hit 50 points in their rookie season and since Niedermeyer did it in 1990.
And this is Landon DuPont from Calgary. And it's a Wednesday night. The Flames are off that night. So I don't think there's many excuses for not seeing this game, especially McKenna versus DuPont at the height of their powers.
And Jameson and Everett.
But I mean, I like him, but he's no Landon DuPont. He's pretty good though.
There's a lot of that D core for Everett. There's a lot of NHL prospects there, and even their guys who aren't NHL prospects, like they're good. But then, Medicine Hat has been roaring lately.
Imagine if Medicine Hat ever gets fully healthy. I don't know if they're ever going to, but
I know. But if you don't have plans on Wednesday night, that's going to be a great game to watch.
You don't have those are your plans for Wednesday night.
Yes. All right. Couple more here before we wrap it up. Should Conroy bring up Solo and Cuts to help with this defense? They can't hurt them any more than what is in the lineup. Can they?
I mean, I'm a big Solovyov guy. They had, bless his heart, Tyson Barrie would probably be the first to tell you he's not great at everything. And so the Wranglers had Solovyov play with Barrie, which I think is a very nice little endorsement of Solovyov's 2-way play, because he was playing with an almost 900 game NHL defenseman, and Solovyov did not look out of place at all alongside him. They gel pretty nicely. I think Solovyov, if you're looking for one guy who's probably thinking, oh God, please trade some of these D, maybe Solovyov is the guy, because
might fetch something. He's
been so good.
Yeah.
And so if the Flames happen to move any of the guys ahead of him, or heaven forbid there's any kind of injury trouble, again, knock on wood, Kevin Ball's not gone for very long. But yeah, Solovyov's the victim, unfortunately, of the Flames carrying 8D. Otherwise he would have probably been up by now.
All right. Couple more here. Are we liking Bishop? I don't know that we've seen enough to really get a good pulse on what he's able to do at this level with the Flames. It's pretty minimal ice time. It's a tough time to come in because these aren't teams where it's not like, screw it, let's see what you can do with an extended look against these guys. Maybe Anaheim will see more, but I know he wasn't seeing a ton of ice with the Jets, just over 8 minutes, 12 shifts, a couple hits. Love to see a Newfoundlander in the lineup. Not enough to make any real judgment of his game with the Flames.
3 games, one of them at home, and the game at home was the Buffalo game where they basically parked the fourth line for the third period. And I think his ice time is 5:26, 6:55, and 8:01. I liked him in Minnesota. I liked his goal. It was a good play, and he made it well. But he's sort of, I think, one of those. I think Pinder always uses the term a quad A guy, where he's a real good AHLer. And I think, he does a lot for his team down there. But right now he seems like, limited ice time, limited sample size. We'll see if he does enough to merit more. But, I think you're probably, if you're the Flames, you're probably hoping that once you get more of a home schedule, maybe you end up using that advantageous situation to give Rory Cairns a bit more of a run.
All right, let's do one more here before we call it an evening. What do we got? Is there any more chatter around Kadri being moved?
I don't even know if there was chatter.
Yeah.
It was someone on a radio show in Toronto thinking out loud going, man, he seems like the kind of guy the Leafs would like to try to get. Yeah, I'm sure he would. Nazem Kadri is the type of player a lot of teams would like to try to get. If you ignore his no move clause and cap hits and the length of his contract.
And the fact that he told your fan base to suck it.
Yeah, like there's plenty of teams that would look at Nazem Kadri and what he does and go, I would like to have that player in my team. But I don't think there's a lot of appetite from the Flames to do anything substantial to disrupt their lineup right now. I think they want to roll with the guys they have, and the 6 veteran guys that they've mentioned numerous times are guys that they see as a big piece of their team, and I don't think they're in a hurry to do anything with them.
Said well. I mentioned it against Buffalo. You can have all the young talent in the world, but sometimes you need some good veterans with winning experience to help bring them along. And I think Kadri, Coleman Backlund are a big part of that for these Flames, and no reason to move him if he doesn't want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Any more final thoughts before we call it, Pike?
Not really. I mean, it's season series is over with the Jets, but if the playoffs began today, and granted that would be weird because there's still 34 games left. If the playoffs began today, the Flames would be matched up with the Jets, and I think you look at the 3 games they played against the Jets, where the game in Calgary they were not great. I think it got away from them in a hurry, and I think they learned some stuff about how they need to play. I think that was sort of part of that reality check they had early in the season. The game they played in Winnipeg 8 days ago, really good hockey game with really good goaltending. And tonight I thought they were perfectly adequate. They just made too many mistakes. And so I think if you're hoping that the Flames can, take the season series from the regular season and learn some lessons and apply them, I think there's plenty of positives to take. And there's been plenty of things they did poorly enough that they can try to learn from them between now and April 20th, April 18th. I forget. I think they're going to have 2-3 days off. So that Monday in April when the postseason begins. And then
and
the
I know it
schedule
wasn't technically a playoff series, but the play-in series in the bubble, very different looking rosters, but that was a lot of fun to watch Calgary against Winnipeg then, although I think the main image that seared in my mind from that was Tkachuk just losing it in the box. But anyway, on that note, it is a 5-2 loss for the Calgary Flames, the scheduled loss, as they say, and they're going to come back for some home cooking, trying to finish on a high note ahead of 4 Nations. We'll see if a couple of Flames might get a call-up to represent their countries going forward, but thanks for joining us on Afterburner, and the boys are back with your regularly scheduled programming tomorrow. Have a good night.